Hi folks, this is Six Slices here, and this is the second of three new May knives that I have recently got from him. This is an Ettrick Pruner knife, double bolsters in brass. The wood, I can't remember, I think it was walnut. It certainly looks very similar to, this is black walnut, so I take it's the same. It's a nice little slim, easy carry pocket knife. I suppose, strictly speaking, it's probably for a gardener for pruning or cutting, taking cuttings or whatever. I just got it just for a change. It's a pattern that I just don't have one of, and I thought it'd be quite nice to have one of. My family have a connection to Ettrick, the Ettrick Valley. My mother lived there. My stepfather's cousin was at the Napier and Ettrick family. So it's sort of stuck out as something that I haven't got that I would like to have. So I ordered one, and it's a nice little knife. It's a little bit smaller than traditional. Let's see, traditional Barlow. I mean, it's longer, but it's thinner and it's lighter and it's narrower. I mean, it's much thinner in the handle than a Barlow or something like that. But it's a nice little knife. The pull on it is much lighter than many traditional Sheffield pocket knives. I think that's partly because it's a bit thinner. I think presumably the spring's a little bit thinner as well, but it opens relatively easily. I mean, you can push it shut, but it's not going to slip on you. I would say of the three that he sent, it talks a little more quietly than one or two of the others. But actually, I think I quite like the action on this knife. I don't feel threatened by it. I don't feel like it's going to, close on me and do me any harm. But maybe a wee bit more snap in it might have been nicer. Again, he's done the file work on the back. This is a deeply sway-backed design knife. There's a lot of curve in that handle, but he's got all that file work in there beautifully. Follows right round and back up the other side, because this knife obviously has a considerably shorter blade. I suppose this is one for measuring. I don't normally bother with little traditional knives, but you're talking about a 4-inch handle, but a 2.5-inch blade. There are the blade economists out there that will tell you that's silly, but actually 4-inch fits my hand, but it gives me a little blade. So if I was, doing cuttings or taking cuttings or pruning or something, I think that would be a great little knife. But it also works as a, opener of things, a cutter of string, because it's a pruner, so it's what Americans would call a hawk bill. It's a curved blade. But not. It's not a full. It's not a full pruner or full hawk bill. It's just very slight. So it has the advantages of that type of blade without so many of the disadvantages. So it's a really nice little pocket knife. It feels nice in the hand. It does. There is something about it that makes you want to hold it in that sort of reverse grip and cut your cuttings. Maybe that's, I don't know the history. I'd love to know the history of where the Ettrick Pruner comes from. Was this a gardener at Thilston House or what? Because the Ettrick family down there presumably has presumably some connection with the Ettrick and Napier, Lord Ettrick and Napier family, whether that was their gardener designed it, or whether it was you may or may not know that Napier and Ettrick family it was Lord Napier, and he was given the title of Ettrick at some point, and I don't really know the history. But the 10th Lord Napier is the guy that invented logarithms. As a Scottish nobleman, and there's a university named after him in Edinburgh, Napier University. But he's Napier and Ettrick, and they had a stately home in the Ettrick Valley called Thirlston House that was demolished after the war, because 1960s, I think it was blown up. They actually physically blew it up with dynamite because the rates system came in, which is a local taxation system in Britain. We don't have it anymore. We have something similar, council tax, but the rates on these large buildings were immense, and all these families just didn't have the money. They owned these properties, but they didn't have the money to pay the rates, so they either took the roofs off and let them fall down, or they blew them up in whole or in part. Richard Hannay, the hero of the 39 Steps, the real Richard Hannay, or the where the name comes from, not the character but the name, was the head of the clan Hannay in Gatehouse of Fleet in Dumfries and Galloway in Scotland. They blew up 2/3 of their house in order to reduce the cost of the rates, but the then Lord Napier blew up Thirlston House completely destroyed it, which is just sad. I hate it when you see the history of a country just blown up because it's or destroyed because it's economically expedient at a given time. But there we are. Anyway, so that's it was where the Ettrick name comes from, I believe. But this is a lovely little knife. I'm really pleased with it. Wasn't very expensive. I think this was about 50 or 60 quid for, brass, walnut, and all the work that's gone into it is great. Just really, really good. So I'm pleased with that. Don't think I have much more to say. I've rambled too much about Ettricks and things and Napiers. But yeah, I think it's a nice knife. It's a very practical little knife. It's a good blade. The tang stamp on this one, and I know I get a bit hung up about tang stamps. I've been watching too many Forgotten Weapons videos. Markings. But this particular one, really clear. May, Sheffield, England. As I say, really lovely blade. There's a little bit of a swedge on it actually as well. Just a really nice thing. I'm actually very pleased with that. Out of the three, it's the least immediately impressive, but it's perhaps the one that might be the most useful and enjoyable to carry and to use and so forth. So anyway, I think I've probably said enough. Can't imagine there's much more that you need to hear about this thing. But if you if you didn't think it was complete drivel, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see the last of these three and a few other bits and pieces that might come along, then please feel free to subscribe and remember to ring the notification bell if you want to be told when the next video comes out. So thank you very much. See you all again soon. Bye.